In today's show, we'll be talking about the latest Lions injuries. Dan Campbell talked about some of these players. We're going to get into them, what it means for Detroit, especially going to Tampa Bay on Sunday. The latest power rankings for our Detroit Lions. They rose, and we're going to talk about it. Trade deadline talk, a little bit of that. Lions remaining schedule. A lot to go over there, and some news from the NFC North that affects our Detroit Lions. Let's go. Folks, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Currently, we're at 43,439. I would love to get to 43,500 by the end of the day. So if you're one of those individuals, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's go over some little NFC North news real quick here. Packers lost to the Raiders last night. Great win for the Raiders, and it was really good to see Jordan Love struggle there. The Detroit Lions got a 2.5-game lead over the Green Bay Packers and a massive lead over the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings that are 1-4. Justin Jefferson was placed on IR. Now it's the 4-week IR, so it's not like he's done for the whole season, dealing with a hamstring, but that is huge for that football team, and that means it's big for the Lions. It's their number one weapon. If he can't play in 4 games, in which he's not, they're going to string up some more losses over there in Minnesota, and that helps our Detroit Lions. Lions are on top of the NFC North thanks to how bad the division is besides our Detroit Lions, and it looks more and more likely that the Lions are going to win the NFC North, and maybe we can have it locked up, a lot sooner than we would expect when the season continues on here. But again, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 43,500. You guys can do it. You're one of those individuals. You might as well subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest Lions news and rumors. Let's get to these power rankings here. The Detroit Lions are sitting pretty, baby. Lions beating the Carolina Panthers, beat them down. And guess what? Media is taking notice. Sports Illustrated pushed the Detroit Lions from 6th to the 4th best team in the NFL. Top 5 there. Sporting News, 5th best team in the NFL, up 1. Awesome, another top 5 team. Pro Football Focus, they're starting to move them up a little bit. They've been a little bit rough all year. They're going from 9th to the 6th best in the NFL. ESPN goes 8 to 5, top 5 team. CBS Sports agrees. There were another organization that were not really high on the Lions, but now they're a top 5 team. Yahoo going from 7 to 6, putting up a +1 there. USA Today making them the 3rd best team in the National Football League. Oh my goodness, that's good to see. And The Athletic, a top 5 team at 4 as well. It's so glorious to see that, folks. So glorious to see the Detroit Lions getting massive love now in the media. It is expected, and everybody now pretty much believes that the Detroit Lions is a contender. After the Cowboys took a massive loss to San Francisco, I think a lot of people put the Lions as a better team than Dallas. And what's good is we actually face Dallas at the end of the year, so we can find out who's the better team. All in all, though, the Detroit Lions are rising, and the roar is restored. We still got to keep winning games, no doubt about it. Tampa Bay, our next one, we win there, and we'll continue to rise up. Let's go ahead and get in some injuries that Dan Campbell was talking about here. We're going to start with Halapoulivaati Vaitai. He was actually active during the game versus the Carolina Panthers, but the Lions wanted to save him a little bit. Smart move. Look, it says if Vaitai is needed, we felt like he could have gone in there. That was versus the Panthers. Helped us a little bit, but between him and Graham Glasgow, Kayota Awasika playing pretty good. Been doing pretty good on scout team, so we got some options there. Colby Sorsdale as well, and that kind of jumps into the idea of the injuries for Jonah Jackson as well, because that's another player that the Detroit Lions here who is injured was in a walking boot, and that's Jonah Jackson. So given the idea, look, if Jonah Jackson can't go, Big V can move over there, and Graham Glasgow can go ahead and play the right guard, and this is what he said about Mr. Jonah says, obviously he's a little tender today, and those are always hard. You're taped up, and he was able to finish the game, and then when you take the tape off, you get some swelling in there. So it's just a matter of how much we can get all that down, the swelling, the pain, and what he can deal with. So it's hard to say right now. So this is more of day-to-day thing, how the swelling's going to be for him. Is he able to go after that? So we'll continue to see. But it feels like Jonah could potentially miss Sunday there. We get into Brian Branch. He's another individual that I think he's probably not going to play on Sunday. When you hear from Dan Campbell, he says, it's tough to say. I don't know. I really don't know. Basically, today it was like, look, it looks a little bit better, but a couple things out here. When he moves a certain way, go in this direction, it's just tough. It's how quick he can heal. Again, I think that, versus the Panthers is not a big deal. But I think Tampa Bay is a different, I think they're a better football team. Do I think they're juggernauts? Absolutely not. But I do think they're a better team. We do got some decent backups. We'll see. Depth got to rise up here. And we got some really good news about Joshua Paschal, and same with Khalil Dorsey. I kind of just threw them in here in the mix. They're both close, and if I was going to pick one, it would probably be Dorsey before Paschal, but they're both really, really close. Paschal's close too. That's great news because we need some help. There has been some injuries to the Detroit Lions defensive line. James Houston going down. So if you can Joshua Paschal in here, he's number 3/4 on the depth chart. It's going to help the Lions out in a big way. We need to get healthy. That's the important part of all of this is getting there. So I got a question for you. Where should the Detroit Lions rank in the power rankings? 1, if you think they're the best in the NFL. 32, if you think you're delusional. Let's go ahead and continue on here and talk about a great thing. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks, and I love Prize Picks, the newest sponsor of Chat Sports. PrizePicks.com/CLNS code CLNS. They will match your deposit match up to $100, and if you want to spice up your NFL Sunday, get started with Prize Picks right now. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game, and if you're looking to have more fun on game day, look no further than Prize Picks. How does it work, you ask? Well, here how's it work. You pick up 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their Prize Pick projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any given entry. On Prize Picks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, who study this stuff 24/7. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks, so get started right away. My 3 picks for this week, I got Tua Tagovailoa going over 284.5 yards in the game. Same with Geno Smith. I think he gets more than 248.5, and as well as CJ Stroud, more than 242.5. So get started right away with Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS code CLNS for a deposit match up to $100. Why is it code CLNS? Because that's our ad agency. Use code CLNS. It's real easy. 4 letters to get $100 match when you sign up. So download the app today, and the link will be in the description and comment section of this video. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS code CLNS. We'll continue on. We look at the Detroit Lions schedule. We're going to do this every week because obviously the winners and losers of each team that we face is different. But look, we know we're going against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is a very tough little stretch. I wouldn't say that really tough, but of all the stretch, I think the next 4 games could be probably the most difficult, even though I'm not saying it's difficult. But you know what I'm saying right here. You got the Buccaneers who are 3-1. Ravens are 3-2, and you're at their house. The Ravens just lost this past Sunday. I think the Lions can win both the games for sure, but again, it's on the road. I think the Raiders here, they're coming to Detroit. I think the Lions should absolutely be favored in this game, 2-3. Watched the game last night. They beat the Packers, but they're not all that great. The Chargers, you don't really know what's going to happen with them, right? They could be good. They could be bad. It's one of those teams where you never know. And then we get into a really good stretch right after that. The Bears at home. Lions should be favored. Home versus the Packers on Thanksgiving. Lions should be favored. At Saints, they're an up and down team. Maybe that's a little bit harder. But then again, at the Bears, home against the Denver Broncos, the Lions will be favored in all of those games. And then you continue on here. The NFC North potentially, honestly, could be locked up by right now at this point, beating the Denver Broncos. Could be locked up. It legitimately could because how bad the NFC North is. Then you go at Vikings. So if it's locked up, doesn't really matter. Then you're at the Dallas Cowboys and then home against the Vikings for the final week of the season. So the Detroit Lions are sitting pretty, in all honesty, right now. But the next 4 weeks will be big determination, I think, how the rest of the season goes. If the Lions go and they win the next 4 games, the Lions are going to have an opportunity to be up there potentially with the number 1, number 2 seed. And I think that if they win the next 4 games, I think that makes it like the 3 seed pretty much locked up just because of how easy the schedule is afterwards. It really is. So the next 4 weeks is probably the biggest, month at least when I look at the Detroit Lions for this year. It will set the standard and the tone how the rest of the season goes. And we're starting to get beat up, with injuries. And so if we can get a couple wins before the bye, that would be really, really good for our Lions. And it will, it's kind of just, we'll see how this team looks. But I'd be pretty damn positive of how the Lions will win the NFC North. Really. If they come out the next 4 games, say 3-1 or 4-0, it looks really good for our Lions. It really, really does. And we can finally have a home playoff game, finally win the NFC North. And this team is a team that is going to be good for many, many years. So I'm super excited. I know all you guys are excited out there. So should the Detroit Lions look to make a trade for the trade deadline? Obviously, you lose an Emmanuel Moseley for the year. It's going to be a difficult blow for Aaron Glenn because you signed this guy and you expect him to be part of this defense and he's no longer going to be in it. So I think the Lions have a chance, an opportunity here to kind of just see what they got. They could use Stephen Gilmore, right, and Jerry Jacobs. But if there is an option to get a cornerback and it's not too bad price-wise and it works for the cap, or it's the right situation with a young player like a Patrick Surtain, I think the Lions should pull the trigger. I think we should be buyers at the trade deadline. We'll see what they do. Brad Holmes doesn't like to spend draft picks. We've seen at least high draft picks, right? We'll see what they do, but we're a team that can win right now, and losing Moseley hurts, and there's teams out there that's willing to sell. And it may not be a big name. Maybe it could be a small name. Either way, I think it's possible the Lions do make some phone calls. We'll see. A couple more weeks till the 31st. It's going to be exciting, but we shall see. And I don't really know. I could not tell you if they will or if they won't. This is going to be a wait-and-see approach on this one. This is a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan, and that's another reason why you should subscribe to the channel, because that's what we do here, is we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors, 24/7 Lions, and that's what it's all about. You get your fix in, and we good. With that said, folks, adios.